I don't know why, but you are watching the Madness Comic Network. Are you mental?
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, and I'm here drinking your tears. Tears of my readers. Delicious. Actually, issue 6, I don't think there's too much tear drinking. I think you guys will be okay, but it only leads to issue 7. If you guys remember, we just finished campaign for issue 6. Ta-da! Yeah, I still have late pledges turned on. Here, I always forget to grab this beforehand. Here, I'm gonna not that one. Sorry. But if you guys want to get in there and get books, you can. Unfortunately, I had to turn off on the merch just because I have to make the merch. So, but you can still get books. We haven't ordered books yet. And then I'll turn off the late pledges when we go to order, issue 6. But you can still get in. You can still get a copy. All the digital things are still turned on. So you can get in here and read the story with everybody else when it drops. I am merrily making merch. Say that 3 times fast. And so last week I was binding books. I visited the laser printer the second time, so I'm laser engraving covers and 4x6s. This week, I got in all the t-shirt supplies. So as you can see, I have the t-shirts in process, and like I'm really excited about these the Shaun of the Dead ones because they look really cool. This is the one I made for myself. Obviously, I get to pick something special, but if you look at them, look how they turned out. So this is how it's in white. This is Brandon Starocci's shirt. I think it looks really nice in white, but it also looks really nice in black. Like this is one that's all finished and wrapped. But Gilbert did this thing where he did like an outline around the hands so they stand out even on black. So it pops both ways. They both turned out really nice. And so I finished hoodies and I'm well into making shirts. I'll finish that up today. So the t-shirts will be all done. And then we'll be off to making more merch. I still have secret rewards to make. Brandon, you like the black. You ordered this one is yours, the white one. I didn't order you a black one, honey, but this one I can sign and you can actually see it. That's the only thing. The black ones I can't really sign them. You can't see it at least. I don't know, unless I sign it in a different color. I haven't figured that out. And then the Big Boy James hoodies all turned out super nice. There was a bunch of these that were ordered. So we got little Big Boy James. He's so cute. He turned out really nice. You did it, Brandon, not me. But yeah, he's super cute. I was wearing this yesterday all day. And I love the back of these two. They turned out nice with the cool different color path with the pale rider. So they're all in process. So I'm looking forward to people getting those and wearing those because they're super cool. Other than that, and the book itself, red lipstick. It won't show up. Trust me, it won't show up. Hey, it's Pops. So anyway, so the book, Gilbert is inking the very last page today. So inking will be complete. Matt is about halfway through with colors. I did yours today too, Ray. So it's downstairs, but it's done. It's super cool too. So the book is in progress. We're on pace to start fulfilling by the end of the month. Hi, Lou. Good morning. So the book should be done maybe in a week. So I'll be turning off the late pledges in a week. So if you haven't had a chance to go grab a late copy, we've had a few late backers because we ended the campaign with 133 or 34, I forget. And so there's been some people that have snuck in and got some more things. So don't forget you can get books if you haven't gotten them. So other than that, that's what's going on in my life. Just a ton of personal stuff, kids, end of school, medicine, wonky, I don't know, whatever. But enough about me. I'm really excited to have my guest on today. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Michael Hinson. I am. He's a fellow Texan and he's involved with Charter Comics. That's how we met. He also writes a Western. And so he and I have kind of, we're familiar, but I've never got a chance to have him on the show and bombard him with the 5,000 questions that I ask my guests. So I'm really looking forward to having him here today. Mike, say hi. Hello. How are you?
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad that you're here because now it's like it's when we see each other, we're usually surrounded with everybody else, and it's either in a group chat or it's at a Comic-Con. And so there isn't really an opportunity for me to deep dive into the history of Mike Hinson. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm excited.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. It always feels like a passing moment. Like,
yeah, I'm always like, hey,
so many things happening. Yeah.
Right. But we're usually in like our cowboy hats and Western gear selling our comics. So we like high five as we go by. Yeah, Western power. Yay. We were doing Westerns before it was cool to do Westerns. We'll just say that much. Right?
Yes. I guess since 2020 for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you must have always liked Westerns. Good morning, Glenn. Sorry. Everybody's chiming in the chat. Good morning. Good morning. So take us back to the beginning, because I haven't had a chance to ask you this. So I want to know, like, what's your origin story? Like, how did you get into comics? What was your influences? And why Westerns, right? Because there's not a lot
Yeah.
of us.
So the starting point was right before, like back just before COVID really hit. I kind of had this concept to about making my own whiskey, and when I started investigating, like, what was that going to take, and I'm big into research, so I like a good research project, which is kind of folds into the everything else. So my research kind of turned up that most people just acquired the liquid itself from major manufacturers, and basically they're putting out small batches and making minor adjustments to it, but essentially the liquids come from the same places. So, but they all have this, they all had their origin stories, which just all sound contrived and like the same story over and over again. And I thought, well, and some of it sounds a little made up, like it's
like what?
Yeah, but a lot of them sound made up. So I was like, well, if you're
give
gonna
us
make up
what is
something-
it? What do you mean made up? They were like, we harvested this from the moon. Like, what did they? What are they saying?
No, not that level. Just again, the same contrived. Like we rebooted this old distillery from my great grandparents. Again, just they're subtly different, but it's almost like you see the same story, this like with just subtle changes, and like everybody's using that on their website. And I just thought, if you're going to do that, why not just go all out and just make it just the most insane thing possible? So that's kind of the origin of why Western was, because I just thought, what better backstory than bootlegging whiskey in the Old West? Seemed like a really cool thing. And then the supernatural element kind of came in with some studies I was doing on just supernatural, completely separate from the Western theme. But I just thought, that's a cool marriage, and I could do something really, really fun with that if the main character, if they were influenced by whiskey to connect to the spirit world. So that kind of crossover from mortal plane to spirit plane is that just seemed like a fun place to take it. And so why comics? Why graphic novel? That came about because I had originally considered this would be a neat novel, but that just seemed so daunting. Like, it's a lot, to take on to write a novel, and my background is art. So
lose money, right? That would be the best selling. We harvested this from the moon.
Yeah.
I didn't know your background was in art, Mike.
You didn't know that?
No. What's your, like, what? Did you go to art school, or you do graphic design? Do you paint, photography? What?
So we're going way back. So I've always been the kid that got in trouble for drawing in class, and that whole thing. So, I started, art was just fun for me from the beginning, like before any classes or any career moves. But my grandparents owned a sign company, and we did advertising work. And so I just grew up with, I'll go ahead and age myself here. So I grew up learning Adobe Illustrator 1.0 and Corel Draw 1.0 and Photoshop 1.0. So like the original platforms of graphic design, I got a firsthand training in a real world environment. I won't say what age I was working and making money off doing that. There might have been some child labor laws.
Oh my goodness. So it wasn't quite legal, but close.
So yeah, I had a pretty amazing education on graphic design, and so I've kind of incorporated graphic design into wow, that's a long one.
This is Chris Roberts from Movie Smash. A good whiskey backstory is excellent marketing. Of course, that's what we're doing here, right? And I learned to make whiskey by watching my Paw. That's authentic if you call him Paw, right?
Love
He
it.
only summoned the best eldritch ancient gods from the 9th plane of hell to give it that smoky flavor. Dang.
That does sound like it'd give it a good smoky flavor for
How
sure.
does your Paw know how to summon eldritch gods? That's what I would like to know. Story for another time.
Yeah, that's another story. That's a story in itself.
Right? That would be hilarious if like someone knew how to summon eldritch gods, but the only thing that god would do was like touch the whiskey and make it smoky. And then disappear.
Feels like a little bit like a waste of powers to me.
Right,
but
that's my point.
maybe we could do a little bit more.
Here he comes. Ah! And he's just like, okay, I'm done here.
At least have him stick around and do a few other things.
Mm-hmm. Right? Conquer some things. Light things on fire. Anyway. So go take us back. So keep going.
Okay, so so I've done graphic design on some capacity, advertising, marketing world, in products, a lot of in product work. So you name it. I mean, from cell phone companies to airlines to, I mean, I've worked on a pretty ridiculous list of clients when you add them all up. So I've just been doing graphic design forever. And I got into storytelling because I started, I write government, I manage, write, and do graphics for government proposals. So companies that go after defense contracts, et cetera. So I kind of got into the writing and editing part of that. And as you can imagine, it's not as fun as writing fun stories. So
this is really interesting, actually. So I can kind of see how all your puzzle pieces fit together. But government contracts, like I'm sure you're right. It's lack of a better word, boring to write such things.
Yeah, I mean, there's some solutioning stuff that's kind of fun. So storyboarding and that stuff is all really enjoyable. And of course, it's all about the win. So, the competition is probably the coolest part of that industry, to be honest, just because you're battling for literally billions of dollars. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So, yeah, that kind of sets the stage for like the writing, editing, page layout, design, graphics. So I hooked up with, I've been friends with Chris Hayes for a long time. And of course he got into comics, I don't know, maybe a year prior to that.
Yeah.
And I got on a phone call with him and just kind of like, what are you doing with that? And so I didn't ask him in a way like I was going to go try to do this. I just wanted to chat about it, like what exactly are you doing in comics? And, he proceeded to give me a full fun breakdown of what was he working on at the time? I can't think of the name of it. His first story, he had 4 books that came out as a 4-book total series.
Which one? The one with the Reaper?
No, not the Ferryman.
Not the Ferryman. Was it? He has a bunch. That's the thing. Chris is so great at just
we'll come back to it.
Ideas.
So he was telling me about that, and as he's talking, the more he talked, the more I'm like, these are literally all things that I've done in my career in some capacity, like all of the functional processes and management of a project. I've done all of those things. And so I just kind of said, why wouldn't I try to do this? Like it's more palatable to try to write a story in blocks and put it out that way, as opposed to trying to write an entire novel at one time.
Yeah.
So I got excited about it, and I wrote the first draft on a business trip to Denver from here. And that was kind of the starting point. And again, that was like right before COVID. And COVID
Just
changed.
shake my head because I know, because I
COVID
was trying to
obviously
get
changed
started right
everything.
before COVID too, and it was just like everything crashes and
Yeah. So that's how ComicShield came about. So
that's how ComicShield came about too.
yes, because so also in a previous job along the way, I was a structural engineer for a box company. And so that's
a funny thing because even though it sounds like a boring job, I'm sure it has so many applications. Like I would love to know how to construct boxes. Pick your brain.
it's really really neat. Like some of the because when I say boxes, obviously most people just think of whatever things you've had delivered in the mail, but we did full on displays like movie theater displays. You've ever seen the giant crazy cutouts and all of that?
Yeah.
We've done some of those. I did a full size Hummer H2 one time for some in-store displays. That was just absolutely nuts. Yeah, so there's been like a bunch of that industry's got a bunch of little marketing and advertising trail offs, and we were a short run digital plant, so like we did all the really neat, like we used to do the invitations for the ESPYs at one point, so that's kind of a neat little feather in the cap. Yeah, and they would do crazy stuff. Yeah, so I had that background, and COVID hit, and you couldn't go to shows, and so you basically had to pivot to online sales of some capacity, right? And so I'm like, how do you guys ship these things? And I didn't really care for the options that were available in the market, and so I'm like, let's just design a better box, because I want to advertise my own things. I just want to do a better job of that, better quality. And so at every turn, that's kind of been my driving, like what drives me. I want to deliver really high quality, really cool stuff to people. And I think the packaging is underrated, and being able to deliver, really cool box sets and really cool like combination of things that basically are top tier, like really, really high end professional stuff that, and being able to deliver that for independence is, kind of that's a passion, I guess, is the way I would.
Because here's what I've noticed, okay? Because my husband orders a ton of stuff off of Kickstarter that's indie, like board games. I get a ton of comic books, and it's an experience to unbox some of these things. Like he had this giant board game called Kingdom Death Monster that I've talked about in the past. And it literally was this huge box. He waited 2.5 years for this thing to get produced. And when it came, it was like an experience to unbox this thing. And he actually made a video that did high numbers on YouTube. Just people wanted to see him unbox this. But that's what you're talking about, is the presentation. So a lot of us, have to choose the economical way. But wouldn't it be nice if for our upper tier backers, maybe we put together something like this? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even if we send it out to just a few people, but the experience.
That's kind of what I did on this recent Kickstarter, was just a very short run, very simple concept. I don't have the boxes from that Kickstarter, but
oh wait, let me make you big. Check it out, you guys.
This is a example of what I'm kind of doing, like a promotional piece. So it's the actual comic on the front, so very much like a product display, and then
that's so cool.
It's hard to do that on screen, but you get the idea. So you've got the matching comic, and then of course the graded card that comes with it. So it, like you said, like it's like this unveiling. It's a it's an experience to like be able to unbox like that. And of course we're gonna shrink wrap and do some other things with those that maybe there's some chase items and fun stuff like that that we're gonna do. So on my most recent one, I just ran a single one-off, like that wasn't like a you know, I didn't go with a bunch of different covers, a bunch of different, that wasn't the objective. The objective was, let me just roll this out and do a simple short run thing. And I think I'm running 30 of those. They're already in production, and it's going to be a really neat finished product. And so that's kind of target wise, that's where I kind of think independence can win, is by doing some short run, really high end stuff that, and Kickstarter is such a great, or any crowdfunding would be a kind of a nice way to go about doing that, because you kind of minimize your risk by having pre-orders. And I think the more people see it, the more they'll be like, oh, okay, that's a really cool experience. That's a really neat way to present what you're doing. And so that's where I think the long-term play is for ComicShield. And of course, I'm I pride myself in things arriving in tip-top shape too. So these I've kind of built to, they're going to get there. I mean, your comic is very well protected, although the other ComicShield is like a tank. I mean, they're built to, you're not
slab shield.
One of those.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm looking at this and it's like, I've seen the ComicShield. So the slab shield is a little bit thicker, so you can send it while it's in the slab. So if it goes out and it gets graded, correct?
Correct.
And what's this? You got 2 layers below that. What's a multi-shield?
So the multi-shield was a product we did that held multiple ComicShields, or a combination of ComicShields and slabbed comics as well. And then the outer shield is just a larger one. So the outer shield will hold a slab shield and a regular ComicShield together.
Okay, so they're stackable.
So all of it's like a Russian nesting doll type situation where they all fold into one another. Like this one actually fits into a ComicShield. So every one of the products is like a perfect fit all the way down the line.
And that's so important, especially when it comes to, like you said, for making sure things get to everybody intact. I was lucky in my last campaign. I only had one thing that showed up damaged that someone let me know, but I've heard horror stories about people shipping stuff, and, mail handlers just are not, they don't care. They get the stuff where it's supposed to go, but man, is it banged up.
Yeah. So that's been that was my driving desire, was to build something that, it got there in absolutely perfect condition. And I've seen some products come in that have taken some crazy beatings that I can't believe that even, I thought it was so bad that even my product wouldn't stop it. But I've had some things that made it through, and I'm like, that's amazing that it's not completely destroyed. But it's also the experience, like you said, I don't want to have to cut a bunch of tape and have this random type. Like, these are built to do this job. That's what they're designed to do. It's not trying to make something else work for comics. It's not, I see people use pool noodles for shipping slabs.
Pool noodles?
Box, but they'll cut pool noodles and make them try to work. But whereas
I've never seen that.
Have you not seen that? It's funny.
No.
Whereas ComicShield, a slab shield is built specifically to ship either 1 or 2 slabs. So again, they're purpose-driven products, so they're not made for something else. And I'm trying to make it work. It's built for this thing, and I'm working with the they call themselves the Board Boys, the comic capsule guys, on doing a product that is specific for their product too. So
cool.
And they do a like a UV protected plastic case that is an alternative. It's not grading, but it's an alternative to, you want to keep it in good shape and you want it to be UV protected. Maybe you want to display it. They build a product, so I'll give them a little plug on here too. Great guys, and great. Yes, the opening scene of Ace Ventura does.
I don't remember. What was that? What's the opening scene?
You don't remember him? He was infiltrating the house to rescue one of the animals, and he was impersonating a UPS guy and was kicking the box and throwing it, and just it was a pretty that's a fun sequence.
I'll have to go back and watch. I haven't seen Ace Ventura in forever, but
It holds up. I'm telling you, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's Jim Carrey, so I don't know.
So so that's kind of, so it all kind of just folded into each other, and I ended up down this weird avenue that I'd never in a million years thought I would be. I mean, seriously, 5 years ago, I did not dream of doing what I'm doing. So it's been, I'll just use the word interesting. It's been very interesting.
I feel like that's indie comics in a nutshell. I don't think any of us planned to be here. It was like, woke up one day and have this great idea, and how do I get there, and end up doing a thing. And I never thought I'd be hosting a podcast. I never thought I'd be making hot sauce. Like, where did that freaking come from? And it's just, it's all part of the journey that we go on. And it's been an interesting ride together, but we just got to continue. I would love to talk more about The Disputed. And so this is your Western series again. It's about it. So it started out with, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you wanted to do a whiskey, and then you decided to do a comic book to build the lore behind the whiskey because everybody else's whiskey lore sucked. Is that it?
Exactly. That's exactly the origin. And so the term, the disputed territory, which I've shortened it, it's really, I just go with the disputed is kind of what I've adapted it to. But so the disputed territory came about because I was drawing a map of the Republic of Texas, and I might even have that over here. I'm gonna look.
I want to show us the history. Mike Hinson is a fellow Texan. That's obviously, I mentioned that before, that we are here together, but you've been in Texas the entire time, I would think. I'm a transplant, so I'm gonna wait till he comes back to ask him questions. Let's see. Huh? Check it out. Ooh. All right.
So it's funny. I wanted to draw this map, which I still haven't put on the wall. That was the original goal, was I was going to do a map and frame it and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
So I was doing a ton of research on that, and so the disputed territory is that area that goes all the way up into Wyoming, the little handle and all that. And so that's when I went and got the domain names, the disputed territory, all that stuff. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was like, that's a really, really cool name. It's a really neat concept, and I could do so many things with it. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but it's cool.
But hey, secure those rights.
So then the comic thing came about, and I'm like, there's no better place to do what I want to do than in the disputed territory. That's the perfect location for all of these crazy things to happen. So so that's how that came about. And so the story itself kind of centers around the gang. I call them the disputed gang. And so it's a medley, a team of people. It's not just, I mean, it kind of focuses on the main character, Jack, and kind of his story, because he's what I call a condusory, which is a character that's a person that's able to cross over from the mortal to the spirit plane through the use of spirits. So spirits give you powers, or give him powers. And so he kind of becomes the source. So he carries around a pistol without any bullets in it because he doesn't need them. But he also knows that if you can't just go around, shooting lasers and making people die either. So he had to come up with a way to play the role of Old West gunslinger, and but he doesn't need the bullets. So why carry them?
So he can shoot the gun and spirit bullets come out, or how does that work?
Well, it's really just kind of ripping through time and space and sending them into another plane.
The people or the bullets?
The people. Okay. There are no bullets. He's just
no bullets. Doesn't need them. So does he
He's
even
just
need to
ripping through the fabric of the moral plane.
does he point the gun?
Oh yeah, he plays it out. I mean, it's like an acting job.
It's like what's that movie? The Losers, where someone was pointing their finger and shooting, and then there was a sniper across the way that was actually doing the work. It's
Yeah,
like that. He's
it's
pointing his
very much like
finger.
that.
Spirits are the ones that are pulling the trigger and sending them off.
Yeah.
That's funny. I love this style too. Like these are both very different, but very reminiscent, that sepia tone of the Old West. And
Yeah, so this one, so I'm using two different interior artists. So the first panel up there is that's my main storyline style.
yeah.
And so it's got a very manga vibe to it. So I'm calling it manga Americana because it's like this combination where I'm taking some attributes of classic American comics and manga comics and kind of merging them into a style that hasn't been done. So I do a lot of color splash, mostly black and white, but the American comes in with like some color panels and fun stuff. And then the other style you see there is, there's Chris.
Hi, Chris. We were talking about you. All good things, we promise. I'm winking.
Well, yeah. I mean, as good as it can be, right?
Just kidding.
And so the other style is I'm using this guy to do flashbacks. So if there's a backstory, that there's a backstory. So it just by using a completely different style, you're automatically teleported into, oh, okay, I know I'm not in the main timeline. I'm in
right.
this timeline.
That's smart. It keeps the two stories separate in a visual way so people can keep things clear, which is hard to do when you're jumping around in time, right? So
yeah, I'm the sepia tones, I thought really that really does set the tone for a flashback. Like it feels older, it feels like it's definitely a flashback. So this particular issue is a backstory for one of the main characters, not the main character, but it's a little tragic love story that I thought it kind of gives you some understanding of why this character is the way that he is. So yeah.
Very cool. Look at this cover. Woo! That's eye-catching. I love it. I love it because the composition itself is genius. You know what I mean? Because it's the giant shadow, the arms outstretched, it's on an angle, so it really takes your eye through the piece. All of the stairs, all of the people on the side, like they're my eye wants to look at all the details, which is what a great cover does. So this one, who's this one?
This one is so this has a connecting cover, and it's a full wrap thing. And so this is a combination of Alan Qua and Cale New.
Yeah.
So Cale did the front. Cale did the left, and Alan did the right. And I got to color the thing, so that's pretty awesome.
Ooh, he's so talented. I didn't know. Did you color the interiors too?
Yeah.
Or do you?
Yeah.
There we go. Very nice.
I think, do I have any cool stuff? I'm trying to think on my website if I got a.
What cool stuff you got? Show it off. Poker card certificate of authenticity can be graded as an add-on option. Oh, that's cool. You have poker cards?
I do.
See, we're a lot alike. Because I got poker cards too.
Yeah, I've got a whole series of. I mean, cards are a whole other element of. This is not a poker card, obviously, but.
What's this? Ooh.
That's a fun one. Yeah, so I did the box sets are just that. I can't talk specific issue. Easy for me to say. And like I said, it's a one-off box set. And I don't know that I do. I don't think I have late pledges on that because I'm just going to post what I have left on the website. There's just I think there's like 12 left or something.
Okay.
I'll just list those on thedisputedterritory.com, and so there'll be a handful of those left there.
That's cool. You had the box, obviously. You had the box made so that way they would all fit in there. Now, is 5 the end, or does it keep going?
Oh no, I've written through book 13.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide. So book 12 has a pretty big finishing story arc. So I kind of just looked at this like, I'm going to go through the rest of this year. I'm going to finish. So book 6 is done. Book 7 is almost done. I think I just have to letter that one. I think I might have a few more panels to color, but so 6 and 7. 6 is done. 7 is pretty close to being done, and then 8 needs a little work, and 9 is almost done. So I'm already pretty far ahead in terms of like, particularly for crowdfunding. Like I like to get these things like wrapped up and ready to go. Like I'm not waiting to get the artist working and for me to do my stuff until it's funded. I'm ahead of the game on that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I definitely, I want to get through 12 because that kind of gets into the Mortimer character that came out of nowhere. I guess all of it came out of nowhere. But so Mortimer is the energy that exists between the mortal plane and the spirit plane. And so by making it a character, I'm basically saying this energy is manifested as a shapeshifter based on how the person might perceive crossing over into the spirit plane. So for some people, that's really dark, and they'll see a dark character, an evil character. It'll be not something they want to see. Whereas others might invite crossing over into the spirit plane, and therefore we'll see a more positive and have a more positive experience with that. So you'll kind of the character will shapeshift into how the human can perceive it, basically. And
that
so
so like it would make an amazing spinoff.
Yeah, so Mortimer can just kind of be this completely like individual side stories that are completely different from this, and then while simultaneously weaving that into this storyline. So it's part of my world building is creating a character out of something that's not even really a character. It's just a I guess it's just a thing.
Yeah, but it's such an interesting thing. The fact that it can shapeshift and the fact that some people can see and some people can't, and like, does it have motivations?
Its only motivation is to transfer energy from one plane to the other.
Can someone like hijack this energy or use it for their own purpose?
Well, that's a cool question.
That's why I was like, not only does it sound like and I know you're already thinking about making this. You told me. So I'm not, people, I'm not coming up with this idea. This is his idea. But I was just like, this would make a really cool, side quest kind of that could be its own thing. Hey, it's DJ.
Yeah, look, I really liked so I think the supernatural is a really cool avenue to explore in every way. And there are some themes in here that I think are applicable to real life experience. And I thought that, as I've explored this more, it's become more exciting to be able to share some of the concepts of the supernatural in a way that is not typical. And certainly you wouldn't think it's typical for it to come across as a gunslinger Old West. That's a very interesting way to bring some of those themes to life. So the yellow cover there is the Mortimer.
Oops.
Oh, you're not. So you got to sign up. You can go.
Yeah.
Episode 1 is completely
here.
online.
It does this. Gotta be a member. It's nice. This is a beautiful page, though. The thing I hate the most is my web page. Like, I work on it seldom because I hate it so much. But it's like, I wish that's one of those things. Like, when you get big enough, you hope someone takes from you. Like, you can pay someone to manage. That would be the first thing I would pay someone to manage is my website.
I built the whole damn thing, and I there's things that I really like about it. Things that I really, really wish I had more time to dedicate to it, because it can be a fun thing. But
for you, I was
you know
gonna use
what?
that.
I'll do a link. I bet. So on Global Comics, are you familiar with that platform?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you have an account there or no?
I do. Did you send me something?
I'm going to send you something here.
Okay. It's one of those things, like, I'll put stuff up there, and I think I've accumulated some money, but, like, when you go to take the money out, they take, like, half of it. So I just let it sit there. It's like $1.
Yeah, I didn't put my stuff on there for the money.
Mm-mm.
But
definitely not.
It's really more for the free content, honestly. So where can I send that to you? Private chat.
Drop it in my Facebook Messenger, and I'll grab it and then go take a look.
Okay.
Read the Disputed on Global Comics. Cool. Here, look, everybody. Share.
So that's tab. So I do issue 1 is completely free. And so really Global Comics for me is about just getting the content up there. So once I have it published, a lot of free content. I mean, some of it's paid, but again, it's not. I'm able to, if I save up, I might be able to buy a candy bar.
Right? You and me both. Hey, if we put our money together, we might be able to get a pack of gum.
But it's at least a platform to kind of get it out there and, show the style. And, so you can kind of see it's black and white manga, but with some color splash. And so it's definitely bucks a lot of traditional trends.
Yes.
And I can't say enough about Lip Wei Chang is the interior artist that did these pages, did the inks, and I can't say enough good things about him. It's just phenomenal artist. And I do keep I come back to the same thing, where the most fun part of this industry is collaboration with other creators. That is the reason to want to do it, the reason to do it. It's why I keep doing it. It's a really fun avenue and a really fun way to connect. And the fact that I'm working with people all over the globe is also a pretty phenomenal thing that, that's super exciting to me.
I gotta say, I agree with you. When I get new pages from Gilbert, you know what I mean? When I see the story come to life, that's the coolest feeling in the world, to see my characters moving around, like they're real, to see, it come to life. It's just so cool to see. This was one of my favorite parts, is this whole stagecoach.
Oh yeah, the first stagecoach skate. Man, I'm struggling to talk this morning. Stagecoach heist.
You either need more caffeine or less. I don't know which one.
I'm sure it's more. So I considered doing interior work on mine, but I ultimately you have to pick and choose. Like, I'm already doing probably more than probably spent more time on it than I really would care to know.
Yeah.
And so if you're writing it, you're storyboarding it, I'm lettering it, I'm doing page layout, I'm doing coloring, like, okay, like let's pick some things and let's get, and I gotta say it's underappreciated what the serial illustrators do.
Yes.
And it's a reason that I hate grading comics, because it's just completely eliminating what I think is the most important part of what we're doing, and that is storytelling. And I mean, I love covers, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing cover artists, and I've worked with some of the best in the industry. There's no question about that. I mean, you could go look at the list of folks I've worked with, and it's impressive.
Well, I was just David Sanchez, like his stuff is just insane.
I don't even have everybody on here.
Yeah.
But a lot of the early folks, Alan and Carla and Jay Ferguson's phenomenal airbrush artist. Obviously, David with his photorealism, and you saw Kale and his combo with Alan Qua. DJ did a cover for me. I mean, again, the list is much longer than this.
Weird.
And
you had an amazing. All your covers are really cool. Like I got to zoom in on some of these, but there was one that was at Charter Comics that was. It was like the real stark red and black with this guy in a. Can't remember. Was a guy on a horse? Was it your? I think it was yours. I could be wrong.
I don't. I don't even have a count. I probably should do that. Like, get an actual count on how many actual covers I've had done.
Because like some of these
are mine. I mean, that's Jay Ferguson there, doing a Mortimer cover.
I mean, guys, look at that. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I don't see the one that I was thinking about.
That's my cover there.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Trying to zoom in on some of these because guys can see them. Just amazing, amazing work.
Yeah, that's David there.
This one,
another Jay Ferguson.
Yeah. Hello. Can I click? I'm gonna do this one. You could see it better. But I thought for sure it was your cover that I'm referring to, or it was like just this stark black on red. And it was so eye-catching where I was like, if I copy this, it'll be too obvious. So like, nope, can't do it.
Oh, there's homages all the time. It's
yeah.
I think it's not the worst thing in the world to have an homage of something you've done.
I can homage you. There we go.
Yeah, there's Johnny Desjardins.
Yeesh. Crazy. Just it amazes me.
That's just page one. I mean, there's like I said, there's a ton of covers. You can go click load more, and there's
was there load more? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, here it is. Behind the. Hey.
I don't know why that's doing that for me. That's not good. See, now I've got to do a website test.
Sorry. It's like, well, now I need to go work on your website.
Weird.
Well, let's do it this way. Let me go look, because one thing that I love about Kickstarter is that you can go look up creators. Look at you. It's funny. Did you realize that's still your picture? Still funny.
I always forget that that's my picture. It's such I had a fake mustache, and so great. So much fun.
Because we can click through and see. Maybe they're on here.
Yeah, there's a handful of things. I haven't posted everything I've done on Kickstarter, and I've worked with some like exclusives guys and some whatnot people, and they've done exclusive covers, and so I've had like I'm fixing this website right now because that drives me crazy. I don't know.
He's like, too frustrated, must fix. And that's one thing I've noticed about your campaigns is that they're really like it's simple, it's bare bones, it's very easy for people to pick out what they want. I feel like mine have
Okay,
gotten
it works.
just so crazy. Whoops, what did I do? I clicked the wrong button. Just doing too many things. All right, you already sent me that. I already got that. Let's go back. Where are we? Not that one. All right, let me refresh and we'll see if it'll load more. Let's go. Okay. Hey, there we go. Is that one? I don't think those were it, but I'm going to keep looking. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, that one turned out really, really cool.
Oh,
Ivan
it's the
Tao.
Ivan Tao. Yeah, no wonder. So talented. Is this
Let's see.
another?
Ivan Tao,
Ivan Tao.
Miko Swayan. There's another Ivan. That one's just, again, he's ridiculous good. John Jang did a cover.
Mortimer. This is Mortimer. This is one of Mortimer's shapes.
One of Mortimer's shapes. Yeah.
Does he or she have, I mean, like, what do you call it? Does it have preferred shapes that it takes? You know what I mean? Where it can.
No, it's just whatever it needs to be for that person.
Yeah.
So so issue 2 kind of shows the shape shifting and becomes the La Muerta from from Aztec history of. So that's kind of a cool way of portraying like a not so evil version of it.
He's like the crow.
Yeah, I get a lot. There's obviously the crow references. When Miko did this cover last February, or year before last February, for that's kind of where that character just like took off, and he obviously is a huge fan of the crow, and he kind of just did his own thing with that, and of course I'm the one that had to deal with the
one.
I'm had to deal with the this looks like the crow thing.
Yeah. I mean, you could always lean into that. Be like, if you like spaghetti westerns and the crow, and because that's your supernatural kind of action that you encompass, so you can kind of fold that into like that's what I do. Because people are like, they see mine and they're like, this is Walking Dead, and I'm like, it's really not. But if you like Walking Dead, you would like mine.
Yeah, I mean the storyline is obviously nothing. There's no crossover at all with the crow whatsoever.
Right.
I kind of consider it to be a bit of a tribute to that, and also kind of a tribute to if you're going to depict a scary version of somebody coming to take you from the mortal plane to the spirit plane, a clown face paint, evil, dark character that's made out of ravens and crows, and that seems like a pretty scary version, right? Like that would be
Yes.
that'd be a really scary way to go.
This is the cover, by the way, that I was talking about, that I saw on the shelf in Charter Comics or in Pastime Comics, and I was just like, this is amazing. It's very simple, but it's just a man on a horse with the red sun, setting. The flowers kind of take care of it. It's genius. Like, I love this. Because there was, when you go into a comic book shop and you don't know what you're looking at. And I'm not big into superheroes and Marvel and DC. I never really read comics as a kid, but you want something that's going to jump off the shelf and like grab your attention. And this does. And so that's how I was like,
that's Chris's son did that cover, Cole.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cover by Cole Hayes. Nice. Oh, I know him. But that's the one I was trying to communicate. I will.
And then right next to it, you got Ken Salinas doing the Akira.
Nice. I love Akira homage. It's great.
So many fun covers. Bjorn Barons and Ryan Kincaid, and yeah. That's little old me. I did that one.
That's great. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, this is so fun to click through and see all these images too. And it's like all the different styles. You have more cartoony, you have more realistic, you have, the 2D graphic. Um, it's really great because I really feel like you capture something for everybody, in a lot of different styles because everybody likes something different. Here it is. He's got the spirit hands. He'll point the guns, but he
That's
won't do the work.
that's a little homage to the Josie Wales.
Ah, nice.
But yeah, he's got the magic kind of showing in the hands, and yeah, a fun way of depicting it. Yeah, I love the variety and kind of providing something a little, cover wise, especially something a little different every time. And
Mhm.
yeah, like I said, getting to work with some of the most talented people on the planet is also super fun. That makes it, and seeing where they want to take it. I mean, that's kind of a really fun part of
Yes.
it. Like, I could do a lot of the work, right? Like, there's a lot of things I'm capable of doing, but I think it's limiting to just do it all yourself. Like, there's so much more out there. Um, other people giving their, like, how do you
Oh,
see
they
this?
see. Yeah, and I love that too. It's like whenever I sometimes I'm inspired. Now again, I don't have the art history, the art experience that you do. And so someone is anybody out there? So a lot of times, I want my artist to come up with some ideas or I'm hiring somebody. I want them usually to read the story, to know what's going on, to be passionate about what inspires you in this issue. And then we can, explore it. And a lot of people choose, Big James, like just kind of like people gravitate towards Mortimer and how it can be anything. But every now and again, I'll have an idea and then I'll look for someone whose style fits that idea because I
Yeah,
can't do it. But, I love seeing when people like, "This is my version of Big James." Love it. Love it. I wanna see your version of Sad Pancake. I wanna see your version of Jude St. Clair. Like, nothing gives me more joy than to see someone, not only create original art, but, like, explore my characters. I think
yeah,
that's super cool. So
yeah. And so this year I kind of, okay, so after 4+ years of doing it, right? I
right?
I kind of reached a point where I had some people surprised, like they didn't know I even did art. Like, they thought I
Like
just wrote
me,
the
where I was
story.
like, "Oh, you write comics. You're like me."
And I didn't get into this to like be comic book famous. That was not my objective, and still really isn't my objective. However, what I have learned is that you better damn well create a brand for yourself individually, because if you don't, I mean, if I had any tip to give myself 5 years ago or anybody else that got into this, it would be, you better focus on building what it is that you do, building that brand up and building that in the community, because the relationships are number one, and the recognition of who you are, no matter what your role is, whether you're a creator, writer, artist, it doesn't matter. Like, you absolutely have to be recognized as that by as many people as possible. And so I've kind of leaned into that thinking a little bit more heading into this year. I joined Scott's Collectibles, which I'm super lucky to be a part of, that incredibly talented group of people. And
What
um,
is that
what's that?
specifically? What Tell us about that because 'cause
So
I'm not
Scott's is an
familiar.
art rep for the most part, but they obviously represent creators, writers as well. But they kind of got started just doing. They're based out of London, and they also have an office here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And so they rep what I would say are arguably most of the best in the business. You may have heard of comic sketch art. They're very much kind of similar in terms of like representing at shows and selling original art and just kind of creating collaboration work between art, people on the team. So I'm and like I say, some of the best. So they're based out of London, so they've always had a ton of the European creators
Mhm.
and Asian Korea, so folks not in the U.S. And he's kind of, so he's also like, there's some really, really big names in the business that he reps, but he's also very much open to upstarts, new folks. So it's not just reserved to just you have to be great to be here. I mean, obviously, I think he wants to see a little something in you, or or why would you be there? But
Right.
but I think yeah. So I feel really blessed to be able to explore that and kind of explore my art a little bit more, because full disclosure, I kind of felt like drawing other, like doing fan art, if you will. I'm just going to use that in air quotes. Doing fan
Yeah.
art was a way that to me just felt like selling out a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I got into this to do my thing, not to do other people's things. And I've kind of since come back on that a little bit. Like and I don't mean that to disrespect anybody out there doing,
Right.
like, if that's what they want to do. I mean, there's some amazing IP out there that you can do a lot of fun stuff with. But I've kind of come back around and just said, you know what, I just need to keep creating, and whatever it is that draws people to what I'm doing, it doesn't really matter. Now, am I going to set up a booth at shows that has fan art on a wall? Probably not. But I'm totally embracing doing commission work and creating
Really?
some characters that are outside of the Disputed and the world of stuff I'm building. I do like to lean into particular characters that are fun for me. Hellboy is super fun. Did some commissions on that recently, and obviously Gunslinger Spawn's a fun one. Just it's kind of obvious.
Right.
Yeah, so just leaning into characters like that are characters that were always some of my favorites. I think that's a fun way to just kind of get some other material out there, and people can see you for what you do, and whether that's art or writing, or it doesn't matter. Like I say, I just think you have to build that. And so yeah, I don't know. I kind of look back and go, I probably should have done this 3 years ago, but it is what it is. It's all a learning
It's part of the
process.
journey. Hi, Keith.
Thank
How
you.
are you? But really,
Yeah,
it's part of the journey. And like, again, it's like I think as a creator or a creative type, it's like you can take time and put it into, let's say, developing your art, or, take that time and then, develop your writing skills, and then maybe take a turn developing, how you do your presentation. So it's like, hey, yeah, two of my favorite people. That's so nice. So that's kind of how I am too, where it's like, well, today I'm writing, tomorrow I'm making t-shirts, and the day after that I'm signing up for Comic Cons. I'm going to be on podcasts or podcasting with other creators. And it's just a nice rotation. And then every now and again, I remind myself I got to do my stupid website. So, right. And it's like, sometimes you have to focus on things you don't want to, but
yeah,
I agree with you, where it's like you have to spend the time and develop the things that you want to be known as. So for me, it's like writer, I'd love to do, write other people's stuff. Like I'm writing Psycho Sal, which is going to be launching next week, or no, it's on Friday. Oh my God. So much time has passed and I'm losing track of the days. So, but like Psycho Sal and Gemini Force and Big Dog Inc. So it's like a lot of times you have to spend, it's like time is your commodity. You know what I mean? So do you feel like you get pulled because you can draw and color and write, and you're doing ComicShield? It's like, how do you decide how much time you spend? Do you rotate do you triage like what needs the most attention at the time? Because not only that, you have a full-time job, and it's like, how do you balance your
yeah.
time, damn it, is what I'm trying to ask.
I don't know how to balance my time properly at all, and I definitely have been pulled in way too many directions, and it's probably created suffering and what the end product of Disputed could be. I don't know. I mean, I say that I'm pretty proud of what's been put out, so it is what it is. But no, there's it does create triage scenarios where I'm just like, I got to crank through X, Y, and Z, or else.
Yeah.
All of it is self-imposed punishment that I do to myself, so I don't have anybody else to
Feel
blame.
that.
And but I for me, like I said, it's like I'm doing this obviously for me to some degree, but I'm hoping that I can transfer some of what I'm doing and help as many people as possible. Like I didn't do ComicShield just strictly for me. Otherwise, I would have just not made it public.
Yeah.
I would have just done it on my projects and not worried about it, right? So,
Right.
I think for me, it was important to be able to offer that to other folks and give them, look, there's a whole lot of talk about how do you do indies and how are indies perceived and how do you sell those products, right?
Right.
And I hear a lot of people say that they really like the idea of indies, but I don't see a ton of follow-up in the industry in terms of how brick and mortars are coming across independent comics and how they're pushing it. And I mean, there's definitely a lack there, right? I mean,
Mhm.
which has created the crowdfunding movement and
Right.
push, right? Because it is a platform that you can find a number of different things on, styles and projects. So it's created this weird, I don't know where it's going to go. It's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it's impossible to know exactly where it's going to go, but clearly the industry is changing dramatically. From the time I got here till now, it's not that long of a period of time. I mean, technically I'm still really, really green, but it's just in this period of time, we've seen this weird shift. And of course the diamond stuff and, brick and mortars it's been such a weirdly constructed thing for distribution. And
Well, it's hard because, well, one, unless you're in like a diamond or lunar, it's time prohibitive. At least I'm going to talk from my own experience
mhm.
because I spent all this time developing a relationship with an LCS, and there's a few LCSs that carry path. But for me to continually, I don't know, touch these relationships, it's difficult. It's time. Time is my most expensive commodity, right? And
Mhm.
then again, the markup, the profit is very low because again, I feel bad for, the store itself, but it's like they can't sell, path for $25, right? And it's like
Right.
if I have to pay now $4.56 before tax and ship on each issue, it's like where is the wiggle room on that? It's like the retailer needs to pay a lower price than I would charge the public so that they can turn around and make their money back. And it's almost impossible. So again, it feels like it's a very broken process because one, it's very time consuming. The margins are not there. And then I feel bad. It's like you build these relationships, and then the LCS is out of business. So you spend all this time towards building this relationship. But again, it's like, is it worth it? So that's why Kickstarter seems to be the path in online sales with the website. It seems to be the path, at least for my own project. But I don't know if a ton of creators feel that way. And like, do you have any ideas of what do you do to try to garner that relationship between LCS and indies? Because I really feel like we could
I
do
mean,
better.
they're all independently operated entities that, and there is no, especially now. And again, I don't know how the distribution is going to be structured moving forward. But I mean, even, and I'm going to just try not to name any names company
Right.
wise or people wise, but like there are even examples of publishers that you start to work with, and then it's just you don't You hear horror stories about either A, they don't promote it at all, they don't do
Right?
any marketing for you, and just yes, you can get into LCSs, but how would they even know that you
But they
exist?
don't, again, just because you're in previews doesn't mean people are buying anything,
Correct.
right? Even if they're in the store, if the store's this giant Barnes and Noble size store, how are they going to find your comic in this,
Yes.
or a graphic novel or whatever, in this giant store? And so it just boils down to like, what? I mean, like, we as indie, obviously, I haven't figured it out, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I
we'll
think
see though.
I think I've not run into anyone that has really truly quote figured it out. It
Yeah.
seems to be kind of a learning process. I mean, the closest thing I can come to, there's some people that got popularity from working DC and Marvel type work, and then spun off and did their own thing, and had enough of a following that knew their name that they created something.
Yeah.
Um, that's probably the closest thing. But I think, and again, that's where I kind of want to use the ComicShield platform to create advertising, networking type things through that avenue, through that channel. And I don't have the full answer to that yet, but I'm just continually toying with it and playing with it. And clearly I can do whatever I want with my property. So I can play around and A/B test and do all kinds of fun stuff with Disputed. But I think to really make that grow, I'm going to need people like you and other independent creators that are trying to do some of the same things, and finding like creative ways to get them in front of people that they wouldn't normally be in front of. I mean, that's kind of the objective. It's just
Mhm.
growing. It's like growing an audience. And I think people want to hear, they want to hear new stories. I really do believe
Gosh,
that.
I hope so. I mean, Hollywood is so full of reboot, recycle, rehash right now. It's painful. Like, there really hasn't been anything that's come out that I've said, "Oh, I need to see that." You know what I mean? I
Oh
don't need
yeah.
to see another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't need to see another Ghostbusters. I'm not interested in a reboot of things that I already enjoyed. Leave them alone. Leave Labyrinth alone. Leave Snow White alone. Leave, what's the other one that they're doing? I forget. It's just like so many reboots. Oh, the Interview with the Vampire, didn't watch it. You see what I mean? Like, I already got
Yeah.
to watch that and enjoyed it, and there was nothing wrong with that property where I feel like they needed to go back and do it again. The only reason they're doing it is for dollars. So it's like, where's the new stuff?
But
Where's the new
that's been going
stories?
on for a long time. I mean, even some of the things that we thought were new back in our day weren't new.
Really aren't. Yeah.
Um,
And I played this game with Tom Hutchinson, where I was like, remember the 90s when everything was new? He was like, tell me. And I was like, what about this? And he was like, that was a book. And I'm like, what about this? And he's like, that was also a book. I'm like, what about this? He's like, that was a TV show. And they redid it. Now it's just like, see, sometimes we don't even realize
yeah.
that we're getting reboot. But now it's so painfully obvious. And it's just like,
Yes. So
ugh.
everybody wants the same thing. All of these people want the same thing. They want a proven IP that they think they can count on to get viewers. That's it.
What's in it?
That's
Guaranteed
the biggest
audience.
draw there is.
I wanted to say this too. I agree with this. That time is the most valuable commodity. It is for me so much these days, where I feel like I don't have enough time. You don't know how much time you have and you can't get it back. Spend it wisely.
Totally agree.
Collabs are great for strategy and growth. I agree. I love doing this. I love collaborating with other creators. And I've had good success with this. So I agree with this 100%. Grey Wolf, I'm not going
Yeah,
to play that.
I struggle with I like, so I think relationships are massive, and so just continuing to build those is kind of what that's where my focus is, either through Scott's or Charter or everybody else that anybody that I come in contact with. And then it's finding out which relationships are
Worthwhile,
I
long lasting.
yes,
Really
yes, but
looking for.
I'm careful to put it that way, because if all you care about is getting your back scratched in return, I think that's a little short-sighted, and you're not really
Yeah.
ever going to you're never going to achieve being happy with a relationship if that's the way you look at it. Like, I think you have to be in a mode of, I'm going to give to this relationship and without expectation of return. And some are not going to return it. And you have to be okay with that. And others are going to return it in spades. And I just think you have to, it's a hard thing to do, obviously, because you can get frustrated, like, oh man, well, I give and give and give, and I don't feel like I'm getting anything back. And certainly there's a certain point where you go, okay, I have given tremendous amounts to this person, and they're just clearly not interested in giving it back. And maybe they don't even appreciate what you have done. Yeah. Those relationships you definitely should move on from. Like, there's a point where you just go, okay, I need to move on. But I think you can't approach relationships in that way, in my mind. Like, you have to approach it as, I'm going to give the best of me in everything that I do. And if I get a return, then that's great. And if I don't, it is what it is. And if that continues, then I'll move on. And if the other way continues, then we can grow something cool together. That's kind of the way I view it.
I don't know. I'm going to disagree with you there. I think there needs to be some kind of business related goal for that. Just because I only have so much time, that if it's not furthering my plan or my business or my story, then what is the point? Because I could be doing something productive with that time. So that's just my own personal feeling, that, that everybody wants to do something and do something together. But if I'm not doing something to move my business forward, maybe I could spend that time somewhere else. I don't know. I feel about that.
I'm not in total disagreement with that. I'm just saying, to me, the attitude is more about, like, what can I mean, your goal is to move your project along.
Right. Not what?
That's not theirs. You're never going to get you're never going to get
no one is going to be as tuned into your own business or passionate about your own thing as you. Nobody.
Right. So I just kind of view it through that. And I've been frustrated with, how much I've put into certain things and not gotten a return, for sure. But I think it's really just like, okay, I know what my boundaries are. And there is a point where I go, okay, like, I need different relationships.
Yeah.
But if but I try to just approach it in a way where I don't have an expectation. It's just more about whatever gets delivered out of it.
That's interesting. And I mean, like, sometimes you don't know until you're on the other end, and some time has passed to see, whether it's been a beneficial thing or not. So sometimes it just is time, and it's hard when time is such a rare commodity these days. Like, it really is. But I mean, there's no way to know unless you actually spend time doing things. We talked a lot about time today. Interesting.
Time well spent.
Time well spent. Well, I mean, and that's, I think, part of growing in indie is, like, you have to not only have a good product, but you have to spend the time. And so no one comes in here and it's just instantly a hit and it's making, 12,000, 20,000 on a Kickstarter. You got to put your time in. You got to build the audience, and you got to make, garden those relationships and everything.
It's really easy to not know the whole story too. Like whatever level of success you think somebody else might be having, like, tip of the iceberg of all the
work that's gone into get them to where they are today. And that's why I'm like, I love having this show, is because I get to go back and be like, okay, how long have you been doing this? What led to where you are? What are some of the things you're going to work on? And it's like, you can come back on the show. We can touch base again, and we could be like, wow, look at where we were. Look at where we are now. And it's fun. It's fun to be a part of other people's journey and to watch everybody, grow as a creator together. That's just my perspective. That's why I love this show. So speaking of future, I know that you have Disputed under your belt already for this year. So do you plan on doing more Disputed this year? When do you plan on doing the Mortimer spinoff? Tell us more of what's coming.
So the first two Mortimer books that I did were more like character studies in a story format. So they were kind of just introduction of the character. Like, this is who this character is. This is what the capabilities of this character are.
Okay.
And so those are more just like ashcan introductions to this is what the character is capable of. And I'm exploring artists right now, and I'm working with Garrett Gunn a little bit on identifying an interior person that can really bring that to life in a more of a storytelling format.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm going to incorporate a little bit of Mortimer into the Disputed main storyline as well, so that there's little hints, but there's no actual moment until book 12. So kind of apexing to that book, and then we'll see where that goes from there. I had an end in mind when I started, so I kind of wrote an ending straight out. Like, this is where I want this to go, and I'd like to just keep it going as long as I can, but I don't know what's next. So I'm kind of closing arcs as I go, and if there's another story to be told, I'll add to that story. So I could end this at book 12. The Disputed could end at book 12. However, I've already written book 13, and I know exactly how I would pivot out of it, what I want to do. So
that's funny.
There's that.
That's how Path is too, where it's like I had an ending for 12, and then I was like, but what if? And then we just took off again.
Well, you always got to have that denouement, right? You got to have that. But what might happen next kind of moment. Right. And so, so I'm going to continue to do, I've got some interior work to do, obviously, for the rest of the year to get 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like all of those done. Although 7's pretty close and 9's pretty close. Don't ask me why I got those produced out of order.
Okay. I know sometimes we're excited about an issue. I stuck to my schedule, but if I could have done 7, I would have done 7 a while ago. I feel that.
Yeah, there's some stuff happening that I'm really having fun with. So
cool.
Yeah, so I got 9 like way ahead of the curve. Yeah, and then obviously the Mortimer, like I said, I'm looking for interior artists. I have a concept in mind for what I want the first story to be. And I'm just kind of toying around with, we can talk freely here. I don't know how many people are watching. Who cares?
They can keep secrets.
So with Mortimer, I've kind of toyed around with, so the closest thing I could come up with in terms of like, okay, what out there in existence is the closest thing to what Mortimer is? And the closest thing I come up with is the Sandman, because the Sandman is the controller of dreams, and therefore it's interesting because it's more of a thing than it is an actual person.
Right.
And so it's very, very similar in that regard.
Hold on, the chat's Lou Pons is tuned in now. She was there all the whole time, but now she's like watching the screen. And then, of course, you're allowing spoilers, because I never allow spoilers on this. But now I really want to know this. So I don't know. It's my first time having Michael on the show. I'm really interested. So continue.
So I was back and forth. So in the Sandman, of course, the Sandman gets held captive, right?
Right.
And that throws the entire dream world into complete disarray, and then that character has to then go back and set it all right.
Yep.
That's an option.
Okay, so what you're saying is I'm just gonna throw this out there.
What would happen? What would happen?
Captured Mortimer?
If someone made it impossible for anything to cross over between the spirit plane and the mortal plane.
Path of the Pale Rider happens.
That seems like a logical outcome.
I feel like we're on the same wavelength, because that's where I'm like, what happened if death broke? You know what I mean? So that's interesting that we come to the same kind of story.
So
I don't have
that obviously creates its own, like, that's its own story. But then even with that,
Absolutely.
Mortimer is really more of a plot vehicle than it is an actual character, because
Mm.
the entire concept of crossing over that's a theme into itself. And so basically just the use of that format allows you to write about any kind of crossing over, right? I mean, anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so you've got this, and especially with it being able to shapeshift and show up in a way that's different for everybody. And so I'm exploring yellow fever and vampirism and some fun aspects where I can just do like one-off, one shots of Mortimer in this form.
That's
What would
interesting.
that look like?
So is Mortimer, I know it's the crossing, it's the action, but is it also like, could you like give it the attributes of death? Like death can be kind, death can be vindictive, like death is a blessing, death sneaks up at night. Like does it take on the personality of some of these tropes?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Because I think, in terms of like how we perceive death, that's how we perceive it. It is a crossing over into, out of the human plane, right? So your
yeah.
spirit is stepping out of the body and into another place. And so, yeah, it can easily be confused or compared to death for sure. And yeah, so in some capacities, in some ways, that can create a very scary thing, and in other ways, it can absolutely create a very welcome type thing. And
Interesting.
so, yeah, I think you can kind of play. Well, and we haven't even got into the reincarnation part, because when I say,
Reincarnation. Oh God.
yeah,
Guys,
because
what
when
do
I
you think is
say,
coming?
it's not just one way.
Oh
It's
Lord.
not the crossing over. You can't. It's not just mortal plane, not just the spirit crossing that way, but also the spirit
Right.
crossing back.
Now you have just boggled my mind. I was already going 50,000 places with this idea,
Yeah, it's
and
not a one
now
way. It's not a one way street. It's a
but
two-way street.
but can the humans can your characters influence who comes back and how they come back? When they come back?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm
So
here for
there's
this, guys. Oh,
so in
you're saying just
the main
toodaloo to the
disputed
characters as
storyline,
in bye-bye?
in the
I'm still here. Now she's I mean, like, she and I are both interested. I'm in. Go ahead.
what was I going to say?
About reincarnation?
Yeah. So in the main storyline, you'll start. There are themes of this throughout. So your the spirit is just taking on a vessel here,
Right?
and so I really explore like trapped spirits quite a bit. So there's a game of manipulation going on with what I call the trap spirits. So the spirits that are stuck in what in Mortimer. So the characters that are stuck in that energy, they can't pass on where they need to pass on to, and they can't come
Oh,
in the way they want to come into. So
oh no.
they have this perception of being trapped, and suicide is a way to get into that trapped state. Really violent, awful deaths where you weren't expecting to go or weren't supposed to go, kind of thing. So I'm exploring those trapped spirits in a way that they are trying to manipulate other entities, particularly on the mortal plane, as an attempt to cross over one way or the other. So there's they can temporarily like take a vessel. So, take human form, take someone's body, that kind of thing. But it's not a long-term thing. Like they can't live here. They can't last for long periods of time. So yeah.
Interesting.
I'm
So how many people know that this Mortimer thing exists? Is it just like common knowledge, or is it only a few people that actually understand, or does nobody really know?
I would say it's pretty limited scope on who knows exactly what's happening with it, because it's so new. And I mean, here's the really interesting part. I was writing The Disputed, and I had a lot of these themes were in my head in terms of, how am I going to make those things come to life? And then that MegaCon project happened with Big Time Collectibles wanted to do a cover, and they got Miko Swayan, and he did that thing. And, it just really blew up into a bigger thing than I'm at. So I created an ash can for that particular thing. And the ash can, again, like I said, it's really more just a character introduction, little short story, just like a fun thing. And then I realized I have exactly what I need to tell, like basically to show the parameters of the disputed world, to explore that supernatural and the spirit crossing over, and all to explore those themes in really, really greater detail than just in my main storyline. So that was not the plan when I started. I was just going to
No, you just plan to tell a story about whiskey.
Yes.
Well, okay, no. Okay. So now that Mortimer is like that to me is the icing on the cake. The story is great. We're like passing them in between and the whiskey, but is the whiskey going to continue into the Mortimer storyline, or like, are we just like, it's now like, do you still have the whiskey? Let me back up. Is the whiskey a thing?
Yes, but it's not, I can't sell it at this point, but yes.
So it's taking it. That's why I was like, is the whiskey a back seat now? The whiskey was the primary focus that got everything, but is the whiskey now taking a back seat so that we can tell Mortimer's story?
Yes, for sure. It like I said, it just kind of, again, it's just allowing me to explore themes. So book 6, which is what I'm going to put out next, has a nice little backstory on monks distilling different types of spirits to try to test. And
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
we're distilling spirits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's where issue 6 is going to go, and it's going to kind of give you a little bit of like, oh, okay, there's some underlying stuff there on why whiskey gives him powers.
You can have spirits, or you can have spirits. Pick your spirits.
Yeah. It's like channeling. Is the best way.
Using the spirits to channel spirits. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I should probably just say it that simply, right?
Drink the spirits to channel the spirits.
That's right.
Love it.
So yeah, I just like I said, to me it was about exploring these themes in an uncommon way, and so that's the most fun part. Is like, talking about death and talking about the spirit world, and even getting into religion a little bit. And I don't know whether somebody's religious or not. This is not going to. My objective is not to dump on that or prop it up. Like, this is just sort of dealing with spirits being a thing and spiritualism being a thing. So it's really about exploring those things outside of religion. But of course, the religious will always find a way to want to talk about it their way. So definitely going to explore some of those themes as well, and particularly in the Mortimer storyline, because when someone is crossing over to the other plane, they tend to be more raw and real than they would be otherwise. Right?
What is it? Like, every dying person is trying to get right with God?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So,
what's on the other side.
You kind of see, you see a different side of somebody when they're there at that moment. And so that's a fun thing to explore too.
My vessel is broken. Do they do returns? Do you still have your receipt?
They do, but you might not like the next vessel that you get.
Ew. There might not be an even exchange, Lou. That's a problem. So, Mike, are you going to be at... there's a couple things. So, one, I want to know what cons you're going to be at, so I can piggyback and go as well.
So I'm doing a lot of the Fan Expo stuff. So I'm definitely doing the Dallas Fan Expo. I'm doing Denver Fan Expo. Chicago and Boston for
Wow.
sure. Chris has talked about going to Nashville. I don't know if he's still going to follow through with that or not, but we've talked about doing the Nashville show.
Lou would like store credit, please.
I think you do get some store credit. I think you get
Oh.
it. Like, I mean, I think we're here to expand as like, that's why we're here. We're here to expand. And so I think you're definitely getting store credit for some of the things you're dealing with in this lifetime.
Interesting. Like
Karmas, if you will.
karma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Build your store credit. All right. So if the fan expos, you're thinking about going to Nashville, go hang out with Carissa.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to Nashville, and San Diego is a maybe for me. I mean, I've gone the last 2 years. I didn't get a booth, obviously. That's especially for artists and creators, it's
Hard
so
to
much
do,
of an
yeah.
investment for a very difficult return. But everybody's there, so it's a cool experience. And if you've never gone to San Diego Comic-Con, I suggest going, particularly during the week. I've never been on a Saturday or a Sunday. I get the hell out of there before it gets totally crazy. And then New York Comic-Con is another maybe for me. And then I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to Singapore again this year. I went the year before last, and I didn't get to go last year, but I think I might go this year. I'm pretty sure I'll get to go to that one.
Holy moly. How do you
That's a
even
long trip.
plan? Yeah, I was like, that's a long flight. And like, where do you send your stuff? Like, talk to me about that process.
Well, so Scott's Collectibles is who I go with. So I'm
Gotcha.
boxing it up, and they have the guy that puts the show on down there has a shop, and so we just deliver everything to his shop, and then we go pick it up and go from there.
Gotcha. I was
And
like,
Singapore
thank
is
goodness
a
for
really,
that.
really, really neat place.
I've never been.
It's the
I haven't
cleanest
been
big city I've ever seen by a lot.
I'll have to put that on the bucket list. Go visit Singapore.
Fun one.
Can we talk about Chris's book? My brain is not functioning. Give me a second.
Which one? Which Chris book?
Deputized.
Oh yeah.
I would love to tell you about this. Okay, so you guys, there's a book, Deputized. I know you've heard me talk about it because I lettered this book. So this is another Western by our friend Chris Hayes. There's a character in here named after you. What the heck?
Yeah.
Hello.
So he called me. I think he started talking about this book 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years, 18 months at least. At least it might have been 2 full years that he talked about doing this story. And I collaborated with him a little. In fact, how long have you been going now? Like really, really going with Path of Pale Rider?
We first published in 2022, and that's when I got involved with Charter. So 2022.
So I wouldn't even be shocked if we didn't talk initially about this even prior to that, because he had kind of talked about maybe even some characters from mine like being in this book.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't want to do too much of a spoiler, but a lot of these characters are not going to be available in the time that you're
yeah.
I'll leave it at that. So
yeah,
I said, but certainly we can kind of spin some themes, and he didn't want to do he wanted traditional Western, but there are some fun Easter eggs and some things that are in here that are also undisputed that we chatted about. But certainly there was no design for there to be a character that was named after me. That came much later. I think it's hilarious. It kind of, and then for the character to be to play a major role is hilarious to me too.
Yeah, because I was like, there's drawing tears, and you can name, but you're your character is essential to the story, and has this whole like legend. He's like an urban legend. You know what I mean? And I don't want to give away too much, you guys, but like, okay, so here's a bar, and this character's name is Mike Hinson, Bullet, they call him, and this is his bar. And of course, the main character is this gentleman here, is Ellis, who just got his badge in the very first page of the story. So it's Ellis going on this adventure, and Mike somehow gets entangled in all of this. And I had fun lettering this, but I'm really looking forward to where Chris is going to take us. And especially because it takes place in Fort Worth, which is like right where we are. So I thought that was really cool. And so, I mean, like, how does he even approach you? Like, hey, I'd like you to use your name as this character. Like, does he take on your attributes at some point? Like, how much of this character is you?
Yeah, so I think he's interviewed me in a way.
Really?
Although I didn't quite know he was going to go this far with it. So yes, I think he's kind of built the character's attributes is a good way to put it. Some of the character's attributes are in line, and
are you? That's
you know,
funny.
I just told him, as long as you don't make the character too damn serious, we're all right. Like I'm not that serious. So he's got to be able to make fun of himself. That's a key factor for the success of that character to be accurate.
And I'm trying to like, when you put on your hat and stuff, I don't know. He looks, he's more scruffy than you. I'll just put it that way. If you grew your hair out, maybe.
Yeah.
We can definitely see.
Well, I didn't have a razor at that time, so.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're a time traveler, and that you were around, what is this, 1885?
That could have been one of my previous journeys on this planet. Who knows?
Oh my gosh. There's his store credit. This is where he's building up his store credit, Lou. This is great. I love this, and I'm really looking forward to where this all goes. I got Lacey's cover because it's so nice. I love it. So
I think I'm planning on doing a cover for his second issue.
Oh, nice. Because I'm gonna say, like, this is for sure going. This is gonna keep going for a bit. I'm not sure how far Chris has this planned, but it's definitely going to continue going. So if you guys haven't gotten this one, I think, and this is the hard part because I back things while it's live. I can't see if the late pledges are turned on. So please, everybody, go check out The Disputed, issue number 5. See if their late pledges are there.
And if they're interested, just send me a message.
Go to the website.
Yeah, just send me a message. Go to the website, and I'll if you like that cover. I mean, that's going to be a phenomenal little box set for $36. It's going to be a hell of a deal.
Yeah,
because it's got a card with it too. So it's got a actual trading card, COA, and the whole nine. So it's a pretty neat little package deal. And yeah, I'm going to offer the ones because I have to print 30. That's the rule. And so, however many I've got left will get posted. I didn't want to post them until I for sure got everything back in hand and fulfilled and ready to go. I just didn't want to list them on the site until I had my Kickstarter people taken care of first and make sure all those packages get out the door, and then I'll list it. They went to the trouble of backing me, so they deserve to get the
first dibs and
the
first fulfillment. That's how I feel too. Like, I send out my stuff and then I put it up on the website, and I'll go to cons and stuff like that. But I do my best I try to fulfill everything within a week when I can, just to get stuff to them as quick as possible. So I don't know. I got lots of merch this time, so I feel like the merch is good. I feel like I'm gonna have books before I have merch. Some of the merch this time, which is usually backwards. But I've been printing with Artist Express in Arizona, and they're so quick. Yeah. I get the books in like a week. So
they are quick. Yes.
Have you used them?
Yes, I have used them.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't believe it, because I've used a ton of different printers. And I feel like that was always our longest time, was waiting to have the books in hand. But now it's like, now that that's gone, I was like, I gotta up my merch game. I don't have as much time to make the home, like the wooden, the laser engraved and some of the
Yeah.
secret awards. It's like, I gotta get going. I gotta go now. I don't have time because the books are gonna be here and I can ship. So Mike, where are you going to be next? And make sure everybody knows your socials and your website so we can, follow you and follow your story, follow your progression.
Can I join the chat? I can put.
Yeah, you can drop everything there. But then say it out loud too, because some people are driving and walking dogs and drawing while they listen to this show. So we want to know. Arts Express is in Arizona, Grey Wolf, and they print a ton of stuff. You should go check out their website. 100%.
So I'm on mostly Instagram and Facebook is where I most of my presence is located. And on either one of those platforms, you can just put in The Disputed Territory and you can get to me. And then I also recently added my my personal Instagram. What is that thing up to? So it's under the Michael Hinson. Is my profile on there. What do I got?
The official, the Michael Hinson.
Yeah. 44 posts. Look at that. I'm proud of myself.
He's official.
But for the disputed stuff, yeah, it's the Disputed Territory on any platform, and ComicShield is available on both of those platforms as well. ComicShield, I have a YouTube as well, but frankly, I just don't get on YouTube. I did my how-to videos, and that was about it. I need to do more video content. I mean, that's a fact. I need to do more video content. It
definitely helps.
People want to see video. They do.
Yeah, they want to see video. They want to see you. And again, it's like you're going to be the most passionate about your project. And so it's catchy.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
Yeah.
So, yes, I believe that's them, Grey Wolf. I believe so. Before we go, I just want to say real quick, one of my friends has a Kickstarter. You guys are all familiar with John Westhoff. He had some trolls that were backing large pledges on his campaign, and they pulled out. I think he lost like $900 in the last 24 hours on his campaign. So it looks like he's back above his funding goal. But if
what does anybody have to get out of that?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't. It's weird to see this happen because I've seen it happen a few different times where it's like right at the end of the campaign, and it sucks when people are backing on exclusive things where it's like there's a max of 5, and in the last 24 hours, they're open for grabs, and hopefully people find them. But it's like someone might have backed something else and doesn't know. So I don't know. It sucks. So if you get a chance and you want to support an indie creator, you guys, John Westhoff is great. He does a lot for the indie community, and he has a lot of really cool projects. So go give this one a look. See, maybe drop him, $10 just to help out. But $900 right at the end is it sucks, man. So
yeah,
but I don't get it. No, not cool. Not cool, everybody. But that's this week's show. Thank you again, Mike, for coming on. Next week we're going to have William Russell, so make sure you show up in the chat and harass William Russell.
That's a good plan.
Don't make him angry, please. But join us next week. We're going to be here same time and same place, interviewing indie and talking about comics and what makes the world turn. Remember to please be excellent to each other and kiss your babies. We'll be here next week. All right. Bye.
On the tube and feel the vibe. Every show you crave right here live. Heroes and villains clash in the night. Madness Comic Network sets it right. Scroll through the list, find what you need. Epic battles and fast-paced speed. From capes to cosmic space delight. Tune in and watch watch your favorites ignite. On Facebook, share the thrill so grand. On X, the buzz across the land. Madness Comic Network all around. In every episode, joy is found. Uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic brightens days. Hey! New uploads, they never end. Superheroes and their friends. Catch every twist and every turn. Madness Comic, you will yearn. Stay up to date with every twist. Madness Comic, don't miss a gist. From laughter to tears, every mood. Madness Comic sets the groove. Click that button and subscribe. Catch the wave and ride the tide. Join the fun, join the craze. Madness Comic bright.